Right, today I'm going to talk about Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, and how it was in theory used by Charles Manson. So from what I've heard, the Charles Manson, the serial killer, although he didn't actually seem to do anything himself, he had the Manson family commit the murders. Well, Charles Manson was apparently very influenced by this book and the course. So whilst in prison, Charles Manson had attended the Dale Carnegie course, and from what I hear, he was very intrigued by chapter 7 of the book, or principle 7, how to get cooperation, which is essentially how to get somebody to think that your idea is their own. And I'm going to talk through some examples of this. Right, the first example is a man who is a sketch artist for a textile studio, and he can't seem to get his sketches to get accepted. So what he does is he asks the studio, what would you be needing me to sketch for this to be accepted? And they say, we'll get back to you. And they give him a list of requirements, and he sketches exactly what they need, essentially selling them on their own specifications, their own idea. Another example, very similar, is when a box of x-ray equipment gets sent over to a hospital, and the person that did it, who sent it, had an idea of human psychology and sends a letter saying that this x-ray equipment isn't great right now. We know this. What is it that we could do? What could we adapt about this x-ray equipment to better fit your profession? So again, they, in this case, they look over it, and the equipment gets adapted to work for them. So they're essentially selling the customer on their own ideas. Another example is with a colonel who was discussing a policy and asking Woodrow Wilson about the policy, a policy, and President Woodrow Wilson got quite irritated, and the matter was left. Several days later, I think it was over a dinner, Woodrow Wilson is talking about this policy in a much more positive light, and talking about it as if it had come from himself. Now, I've also heard that this technique works very well with the owner and chairman of the WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment, Vince McMahon, that you have to leave him with the idea and let him think that it is his own. Right, another area of this chapter is discussing how somebody had uncertainty about becoming a guest at a camp. So the camp manager then, instead of giving them loads of leaflets, trying very hard to persuade, says, here's the number for some of our satisfied guests. Why don't you give them a call and see what you think then? Another example is when a mother and father can't quite agree on where to go on vacation. I can't remember the specifics, so let's just work on this basis that the father wanted to go to California and the mother wanted to go to Florida. So what the father does is he has a word with their child and says, I understand that you've been learning about perhaps this history in California. How would you like to go there? So then the child says, I because I've been learning about it and really excited to go to some of these places that I've been learning about in school. This blows the mother with her Florida concept right out of the water. So that gives some examples there of what goes on in this chapter. I had a discussion with a friend though about how Manson may have weaponized this chapter, And he was thinking that let's say a girl called Stacy, just for example, I don't know the names of all the Manson family members, went to see Charles Manson in prison. Charles Manson would have stopped, he would have been quiet, he would have listened, he would have been attentive. But Stacy would have known somebody who Charles Manson knows, so they had somebody in common, building some degree of trust. My friend then, he thinks that Charles Manson would have asked for a favour, just a small favour, and bit by bit he would have built up upon those favours until it would have been something very, very serious. Now, I think this is an interesting idea, although I think that what might have happened might have been less Dale Carnegie and more in line with Robert Cialdini's influence, The Art of Persuasion. I think that Charles Manson may have asked for an idea, may have put forward an idea, been rejected, knowing he was going to be rejected, and asked for something smaller that would have been his second idea or his main idea all along. And I think that this process would not have happened immediately, but I think that he would have been using Robert Cialdini's rejection rule, if you will. Now, this book by Robert Cialdini wasn't written at the time of Charles Manson, that this was going on, but I think that some of the tools that are in Robert Cialdini's influence may have been used by Charles Manson, in addition to some of the tools discussed here on the Principle 7 of Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, the Dale Carnegie Institute have obviously rejected the idea that Charles Manson would have been using the Dale Carnegie principles, and that's more than understandable because Dale Carnegie created the Course of Good. In order for a better answer to all of this, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall and seen the lectures of the Dale Carnegie course that Charles Manson was privy to in prison. Equally though, I would like to have seen the Dale Carnegie course in action when Warren Buffett was there, because he said that the course had a profound impact on his life. So I don't know what other people think. Like I say, I'm not really that intrigued by Charles Manson, but what has caught my attention is certainly how this very, very, very famous book has somehow been weaponized. It certainly brings up discussion. Thanks for listening.